It is now 9:45, and the verdict is in for the high-profile sex trafficking case against music mogul Sean Diddy Combs. He was found guilty of 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution, but was found not guilty on the other charges, including racketeering, which would have carried a max sentence of life in prison. Here to expand a little bit more on that verdict from yesterday and what Diddy could be facing at his sentencing is 9 News legal expert Whitney Traylor back with us. Whitney, good morning.
Good morning.
Well, Whitney, as we just mentioned, Diddy was prosecuted on, or convicted, excuse me, on those prostitution charges that carry a maximum of 20 years, 10 years each. How much time is he likely to serve, though?
Well, he's definitely not going to get the maximum, and there is the federal sentencing guidelines that the judge has to essentially comply with, and based on his criminal record, his criminal history, it's likely going to be maybe two to 3 years. I know the prosecution is asking for, I think, up to 61 months. The defense is suggesting maybe 2 years. And you have to consider he's also going to have his time served. So he's been incarcerated for 9-10 months. The sentencing hearing is going to be in October. So by the time that happens, it's going to be a year. And on these charges, remember, there's no minimum. So he could literally just get probation. Whereas on the racketeering, on the serious charges, which he was found not guilty, there was a minimum of 15 years. So this is, when you look at the big picture, it's a slap on the wrist.
I want to go back and ask you a question that we asked you yesterday. As far as California goes, could these be served concurrently? Do they have to be served consecutively?
Right, that's up to the judge, and the judge will look at a number of different factors. They'll take into account the victim statements, his criminal history, all of his community ties, things like that. And so I think most experts are saying, yes, we're looking. I even heard an expert this morning that said, I think it'll be probation. I don't think that, but I think it will be on the lighter end. So maybe 2 years is probably what a lot of people are suggesting.
All right, interesting. Now, of course, the judge also ruled yesterday that he will remain in prison until that sentencing happens. Were you surprised by this?
Yeah, I really was surprised because he was facing some very serious charges that he was found not guilty on. And so the charges that he, essentially this was a prostitution charge, which is still a crime, it's still a felony, but not quite as serious. And his team actually proposed that he post $1 million bond, that he only travel within 4 states, he turn over his passport. I think his mother and his daughter's mother was also going to sign that bond. So it was a sort of an interesting proposal. And of course, the prosecution and other victims said, no, he's still terrorizing people. He's still not safe. And so the judge allows him to stay in, so I was a little surprised at that. But he has a few more months, and that will count towards his time served, toward whatever the sentence ultimately ends up being.
Okay, so talking about these 2 charges that he was convicted on, we've heard a lot of critics after yesterday's jurors came back with their verdict. A lot of angry people out there taking to social media who are outside the courthouse right there. What protections are there for these jurors who came to this decision now that they have to face the public?
Yeah, there's not necessarily a lot of protections for them. There's not much that the judge can do. Obviously, if somebody tries to commit crimes towards them, they can be prosecuted. But essentially, with the jury gets instructions, particularly while the trial was going on, regarding sequestration and not looking into it and that kind of thing. And different judges will, some judges allow jurors to go and talk. Some judges say you can't speak about it. In this case, and I think that's a disservice, as I was mentioning yesterday, because the lawyers actually benefit from that information.
Now, in this case, the judge didn't say that they couldn't talk, but he did discourage them from talking.
Right, that's right. And, you know, in these kind of high-profile cases, there's going to be a lot of pressure for people. They're going to be offered, book deals or interviews and that kind of thing. And I think they're going to be able to. I didn't see the judge's order specifically, but I think it was just a discouragement, if you will.
All right. Well, Whitney, thank you for coming back. We appreciate it this morning.